here's the good news. We can have that heart transplant. Listen to what Ezekiel said in Ezekiel 18. Get rid of all the sins you have done and get for yourselves a new heart and a new way of thinking. Whew. See, when your heart is surrendered to the Holy Spirit and you're walking in the fruit of the Spirit, that is then when you can control your tongue. Renewing your mind daily, putting yourself on, crucifying your flesh, making sure your heart is aligned with the heart of the Father. That's when we walk in the fruit of gentleness and self-control. That's when we walk in all the fruit. How about this? The E in power is this: surrendering my expectations. See, one of the hardest but most freeing things in our lives is when we free ourselves of the expectations that other people have for us, but the expectations that we have for ourselves. When we do that, we can have a better walk with God. So how does this relate to gentleness and self-control? It's this, because it requires a heart yielded and surrendered to God's will over our own. We have to surrender our expectations by saying, God, I trust your plan more than I trust my plan. And that is hard to do, because we're trusting in something that we cannot see. Our plan, we write it down, we put it in our journal, we make a vision board for it. We cut out pictures from magazines and words and put on a vision board, and this is my plan. When God says, no, surrender that, burn that at the altar, and surrender to my plan. Because doesn't the Bible say that his thoughts are higher than our thoughts? His ways are higher than our ways, so his thoughts are higher than my thoughts. That means, and his ways are higher than my ways. That means his plan is so much better than my plan. And so when here's the thing, when I release myself of the expectations I've put on myself, when I release myself from the expectations of others, it creates a space for gentleness to grow, because we are no longer striving to control the outcomes or force our way into something that God did not give us. Catch those words: control and force contradict surrender. It's all about surrender. This whole entire series on the fruit of the Spirit is about abiding in his presence and surrendering to him. Surrendering all we have to the Father. See, instead, we have to approach situations, and we have to approach people with humility, knowing that God is in control. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 2, be humble and gentle, be patient with each other, making allowance to each other for each other's faults because of your love. Gentleness is not just strength under control, it's strength under submission. It's being able to respond with kindness even when life doesn't meet our expectations. Even when that person that we thought was on our side doesn't meet the expectations that we set on them. Even when our spouse doesn't meet our expectations, even when our kids don't meet the expectations that we put on them, we have to surrender those. The expectations we put on ourselves, we have to surrender those. Self-control is the discipline to master those impulses, master those emotions, master those reactions when our expectations are not met. Surrendering expectations is the soil where gentleness and self-control can take root and can flourish. Again, it's all about trusting God. It's all about trusting his timing, trusting his plan, trusting his way. Listen, even when it doesn't align with my way, my timing, my expectations, my plan, I have to trust the process. Listen, he's God. Bible says he saw the end from the beginning. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows everything that's going on. He has this giant canvas in heaven, and he sees what's going on. He sees you on the roadmap. And he just sits there, so I just want you to trust me. You're creating this road this way, but this road, it may be harder, but the process, there's a promise. Church, is a promise at the end of the process. I preached that. That's one of my favorite messages I've ever preached. I may have to bring that back. That could be like part 10 of this series. There is a process to the promise, and part of the process is yielding to God and letting the fruit take root in our lives. Your plan is fake fruit. Your expectations is fake fruit. It's the world's fruit. It's culture's fruit. But no, I want real fruit. I want tangible fruit. I want fruit that I can pick up and I take a bite and it's sweet and it's refreshing and it's something that brings me strength and builds me up. That's the fruit that I want in my life. Can we give Jesus praise in this place today? Come on. Surrendering our expectations creates space for the Holy Spirit to work inside of us. Imagine just let go, let God. We're getting into journey season. Might as well say it now. I've said it all summer. I haven't heard it all summer. Let go, let God. That's what it is. Let go, let God. And when it's something. Collins, you and I talked about this one time, how freeing it is. I know we were talking about your testimony when you let go of things. Collins the cook, that's so awesome, buddy. I don't know if you've seen that book. It's pretty amazing. But that when we were talking about, I think we were sitting at the restaurant and we're talking about how when we let go of our expectations, how free it is when we let go of the expectations of others and the expectations we have on ourselves. There's a freedom. And it's something that we always bring back in Journey too, is that let go of the expectations, let God do the work. Don't go into his life group season, journey season with expectations. Just let God do the work. That's something, Isaac talked about that recently. It's just, I have to let go and I have to let God. I have to surrender my expectations. And lastly, it's this. I need to surrender my responses. Surrender my response. See, in every aspect of my life, and this is me. I wrote this down yesterday, and the Lord was just dealing with me on this. Every aspect of my life, at work, in ministry, at my home, with my family, as I'm surrendered to God and I'm yielded to the Holy Spirit working and the fruit taking root, I have to ask this question: how can I reflect God's heart in this moment? See, that pause is where the Holy Spirit moves. See, when we tap into, again, it's a contradiction, the power of gentleness, the power of self-control, they will shape how God uses each of us to impact others. See, when we respond to God with gentleness, when we respond with self-control. Bart, what do you mean respond to God with gentleness? Have you ever gotten mad at God and responded to him in a way that is not right? I have. But here's the cool thing, he forgives me. Why? Because he's a gentle God. That's not even my notes, that just came to me just now. But also how I respond to people. When we respond with gentleness, instead of anger, instead of with venom. We don't know what somebody's going through. So our response may trigger something in them. Now people are like, well, you use the word trigger. No, honestly, the enemy can use anything to trigger somebody to walk out of what God has for them. And sometimes it's our responses and the way we word things, the way we talk to somebody that can change them. So I want my responses seasoned with gentleness. I want my responses seasoned with self-control, especially in those times when it's not easy. And when we do that, people will notice.